Webcam microphone up close. Webcam microphone up close.
At the age of 19 in 1962, she was a...
But I have the files. You know, I read this stuff at the National Archives, and I read these other things. I said to myself, how can that be possible? The brain, you know, pistols and fondle slab of choice, and computers, internet, professional wrestlers, and not Jesse Ventura style. It doesn't matter whether the cartoon comes from, as long as it's real. It doesn't. It's hard to get real information because seriously, they don't want you to just read two together. Whenever I try to prove out, you know, it's not. If you expect your government to tell you the truth, you're going to sadly disappoint another one of these things.
Dear Lord, what a dirty old man, huh?
Really? Can't be serious. Is this really how you want things to be? Come on. More hooker, eruptions? Eruptions, whatever.
Like Dave Powers kind of...
Really?
Allegedly broadcast live from Kima Region 2, within the borders of the formerly united and currently occupied states of America. We bring you the Ochelli Effect.
It's like, damn sure, no, I'm an original.
We have all these situations. I'd love to know why it takes 50 years, for...
That's that.
For a 19-year-old girl to eventually get up to gumption to put these things out.
And that may, in fact, be that. It is the first day of 2015. That is January 1st, 2015, on the Ochelli Effect, as that obnoxious bumper tells you. And I'm your host, Chuck Ochelli. So, I'm not yet joined by my guest for the evening, but we will persevere forward anyway. It becomes rather tiring sometimes to deal with certain things that... Oh, there we go. Okay. It went down, and there it is again. Anyway, my guest for tonight, as soon as I can get him on the line, will be Frank Gregory Ford. But coming up in the next few broadcasts, we have... Let's take a look at my notes really quickly here. I'm all discombobulated today. It's one of them days, that's for sure. Anyway, 3rd, which is Saturday. Okay, on the 3rd, I have Dean Hartwell wrote the book, Questions I Wasn't Supposed to Ask, and all that. And let's see, on the 8th, I have a survivor from Jonestown, the Jonestown mass casualty event. There I go, tripping over my tongue. And, of course, on the 10th, I have Jim DiEugenio coming up.
Do you want me to turn it over there?
Looks like I'm having a little bit of a problem connecting with my guest still. I was trying to check on that, but God knows what's going on. And also, I don't know if I have the phones transferred, so I don't know if you guys can call in tonight or anything either. I'm going to check on that in a second. It is the way it is. A lot of people are hungover today. Of course, I'm not. I wasn't drinking or doing anything last night. I got to do absolutely nothing. But what else is old? Let's see. Hopefully, I'm still going. Let's see. There we go. Nope. Okay, I do have phones, actually. So if you guys want to call in, you can do that. 718-717-8296.
According to what I'm being told, yeah, I should have phones. So you guys can do that. All right. Yeah, I know that something is weird with the connection. Whoever said that in the chat room there, the sound is going in and out. I see that. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. I may have to actually drop and try to reconnect. Okay. Geez, I don't know exactly what's going on with the connection tonight, but woof. Anyway, let's see. Yep. Okay. Everything's acting a little strange. All right. Okay, well, it looks like I'm back on. Can't quite figure this out. Alright, it looks like it. Okay. Here I am again. Let's see one more time what we can do.
Try again?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry, I don't know what is going on. Let's see, I'm on, I'm gone, I'm on, I'm gone. Alright, so this is like the fourth time I'm trying here. You guys can hear me, I hope, in the chat room. It seems like everything is working. Let's see now if we can find the guest. Mama said there'd be days like this. Mama said, Jax Rock says, in the chat room. So just to let you know where we're at time-wise. Yeah, exactly. That was one of those things I was thinking. Just like Benghazi. There we go. Very good, Anon. Alright, now, let's try one more time to grab my guest and see what's going on. Man, oh man, maybe I should just stop trying to do that. Let's see now. Come on, yo. This is beautiful. 2015, starting it off with a bang. I love it. Okay, now I'm unmuted and should be broadcasting. Okay, for some reason the phones will not forward, so that's not getting done. But we shall see what we can do otherwise. And now I've got bizarre things starting to happen here, where we have disconnects of all sorts. Weird and weird and weird, and why it's trying to pop open like a bunch of not found URLs on me in the middle of what I'm trying to do here, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 windows I didn't ask for. Okay, lovely. The audio has been detained by the TSA. I love it. Wonderful. Hey, Dylan, how you doing?
Hey, Chuck. Pretty good. What's up?
I'm having a disastrous time. I'm surprised I was able to add you into the call. I have lost audio several times. Can't seem to get my guest.
Why?
And even though the phones have been forwarded, they're not working. Pretty bizarre. How you doing tonight?
I'm alright, yeah.
Yeah, ghosts of porn searches past is being said in the chat room. Can you guys just give me one more time? Let me know if you're still hearing me there, because I'm losing my mind over here.
Your audio's dropped out once every couple words in this conversation, but it seems clear enough now.
I don't know. It's like solar flares or something. Lovely way to start off the year, though. I'm supposed to have Frank Gregory Ford on. He can't seem to get through to me. Go ahead.
I know. That's why I was surprised I got the message from you.
Well, there you go. I just said, well, let's see if you can jump in with me, because I can't get anybody else to join into the call. And then on top of it, I was lost, and they were telling me in the chat room that I was here and gone, and then of course I got one of those, disconnect problems. There's a problem between your two internets on the call, and this and that, and
then you couldn't get the phone lines working.
Right. So nothing has gone right.
So you're just having a bad start for the year.
Yeah, 15 minutes deep into my first broadcast of 2015, and this is what we're looking at. So, gotta love it. And you know what's funny? Go ahead.
Look at the bright side. It can only go up from here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Have you had any internet problems today?
No, I haven't actually. Today's been one of the few days I've been fine.
Oh, well, you just went all Matrix on me right there, so...
Nah.
All right. Well, look, I'll if everybody can hear me, I'll just apologize for this broadcast to start with, because I got no idea where it's going to go.
I'll be here for a few minutes, then I'll be gone for a few minutes. I was just about to start eating.
No sweat, man. I just was trying to see if you could help me, because I figured you might be around, and...
Yeah, I can definitely help out. I'll be here for the majority of it. No. I just got to get something in my stomach.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that I needed you to be around for the majority of it. It's just I wanted to make sure I could connect with somebody. Like, I'm not just screaming at the woods here. So we have established I can make a Skype connection now.
Well, that's good.
I can add somebody into the call. So if anybody wants to jump in, apparently the phone lines are not transferred. I guess Jules tried to transfer them, but didn't work. However, if you're on my Skype list, feel free to drop in, and we can discuss anything about the upcoming year that you want to. I really wanted to talk to Frank Gregory Ford, though, because there's some up-and-coming events and things that are happening. Germany getting involved in the whole torture discussion. And, of course, this is a guy who was involved with Abu Ghraib's and all that. So I thought this would be a good subject to have on to, start up the year. And the next three broadcasts I have are three authors, which I don't know if anybody heard that earlier, so let me go back over that. I'll have on Dean Hartwell on Saturday, which wrote the book Questions I Wasn't Supposed to Ask. Pretty interesting book, covers a lot of subjects. I have a Jonestown survivor, Jonestown either massacre or mass suicide or mass casualty event, as your persuasion may be. On the 8th, so I'll have a survivor from that, and Jim DiEugenio on the 10th, which he's a noted author on assassinations, primarily JFK, but of course, we're not going to discuss JFK very much on that show. So, that ought to be interesting.
You have two JFK authors on the same show, and knowing you will talk about it, Chuck.
Well, I'm not an author, though, technically,
You're right, but you're gonna talk about it. I already know it. You connect everything back to it. It would be shocking if you didn't.
Now, at some point, we'll probably get there, but it's not going to be the primary focus. Actually, no, believe it or not, it's going to be something else that fascinates me, which is of course, Charlie Manson. So that ought to be interesting, to say the least. And, of course, our favorite former Los Angeles County prosecutor, Vincent Bugliosi, who has authored a great many books, including one explaining to you about the question of whether God exists, and an Oswald Did It 2,000-page cinder block called Reclaiming History, which is a piece of trash. In addition to that, what else did he do? Well, that's right. He was also the co-author, supposedly, of the book Helter Skelter, so, So that's what we'll be discussing that night. Anyways, yeah, Manson family values. Good way to put it, Jax. I like that. That's kind of what we're going to go over, and actually, the building of the legend, as it were, because I think that the reality of what actually happened there with the LaBianco tape murders is not necessarily what's been represented through the Helter Skelter mythology, but we shall see. Maybe I'm entirely wrong. So anyway, Dylan, how was your New Year's Eve?
It was good. It was actually uneventful.
Okay, we're gonna give this one more shot with trying to connect the guest. Well, uneventful, huh? What'd you do?
Yeah, nothing really. I was just on the computer as usual for me.
Oh, well.
Hey, nothing wrong with it.
Hey, the Walking Dead marathon is still going, man.
Still?
Yeah, of course.
I tuned in for one episode. I thought it was over last night.
Oh, no, apparently not. Well, I mean, how many seasons have they done now?
5? I think the 5th one just premiered.
That was the last one that they closed at. It's kind of hard to number these things anyway, because they sort of do half seasons.
Yeah, they do season breaks, I think, mid-December. I know they did that for 2 things that I watch.
Surprised you haven't been much on the Gotham bandwagon.
I'm going to marathon season 1. When the season ends, I'm just going to marathon it.
Ah, okay, marathon it. Well, that's what some people call binge watching, right?
Yeah. Sure, binge watching. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's what they call it, but it sounds about right.
Yeah, it's like where you watch like a whole season of something or a whole collection of something. You know, like if you were to sit down and watch all of the Lord of the Rings director's cuts in a day or whatever, I don't even know if you could do that in a day.
I did that in 15 hours.
Is that how long it takes?
5 hours per movie.
Wow. I didn't even realize it was that long. Well, you know what? I got a 10-hour thing to send you soon. I actually have a 10-hour video on... it starts out with, of course, you know, my favorite subject, JFK. Then it goes on to LBJ and Hoover, and it goes on to RFK. It goes on to MK Ultra, and then on to Malcolm X. And it's actually a 10-hour long, you know, piece by piece, like sort of a mini series of documentaries. And the weird thing about it is, there's like no original material in it whatsoever. It's all like a compilation of older documentaries, pretty much. It's pretty weird. So that's something that I'm going to try and send to you. And I'm about ready to give up on Mr. Ford because I just don't think he's going to make it.
How do you connect with him? Through Skype or through phone?
Well, I was having Kim call him to see what was going on, and also trying to see if anybody wants to try the phone lines, because I am told they are sent over to me, but seems as though I'm not getting them. 718-717-8296. And if you want to try and get through, go right ahead. I was just trying to look over something here. There's a message. Never mind. But anyway. So, Dylan, how about this? You got any predictions for 2015?
That we'll see the ground troops in Syria. I think we'll see the Ukraine situation heat up a lot.
Yeah, see, I'm figuring that we'll see a marked clash between the NATO nations, as it were,
and Russia.
And Russia, but I don't think it's going to be in the Ukraine. I think the Ukraine's going to be like the starting point for it.
Probably. I think you're going to see a spillover into Poland.
See, now that would be something, because a former Warsaw Pact nation actually becoming embroiled in this whole sort of modern discussion of what the problem is, right?
Well, the U.S., I think like 3 or 4 months ago, stationed like 10,000 NATO soldiers or 10,000 soldiers in Poland. I actually thought it was going to heat up this year, or this past year, but nothing happened with it. So, yeah, we'll see. I think we'll see Ukraine spill over into Poland, and Estonia was part of the conversation a while back.
Yeah, Estonia is one of those weird nations where, you know, you're not really sure where they actually stand, because they've always been like the partner nations or the part and parcel of something else. They're never actually all on their own, but they've been independent now for a while.
Yeah, but they were once part of the conversation. I think we'll see them re-enter it. But I do see this whole Europe conflict really heat up.
Well, go ahead.
They sowed the seeds for something huge over there this year.
Yeah, see, and meanwhile, now this is going to make no sense to you probably, but I'm wondering at exactly the same time what what will parallel with that as to whether we start seeing the raise in interest rates with the Fed, you know?
Yeah, I think we will. They've been gearing up for it.
And it's the strangest thing because, again, you know, you're looking at an economy which hasn't rebounded. You know, according to the mainstream numbers, we're rebounding quite well. We've had great economic recovery. But, you know, again, the reality of the numbers is how many people have actually dropped off of the, you know, the balance sheet regarding employment and all that. You know, you can see that there is not a stimulus going on from an organic sense because people aren't spending more money. You know, it's very weird. And meanwhile, housing prices are starting to rebound, which almost worries me.
Yeah.
I've actually heard that the return of like the no documentation and you know, basically those crazy loans is coming back. All that stuff those derivatives were built on.
Yeah, that actually just got signed back in.
Yeah, it's going to rebound because what have they done? They've gone back after the whole Dodd-Frank deal. You know.
Yeah, they squashed it actually.
Yeah, I mean, basically kicked all of the teeth out of it, right? So
no, they didn't kick all the teeth out of it. They threw it in the sewer. It's completely gone.
Oh, it's completely gone. See, now I'm behind the times. See,
yeah,
I knew that
it wasn't very strong to begin with, but they basically all but repealed it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is, you know, some people are going to try and blame that on the incoming, you know, GOP, you know, individuals in the Congress, but they're not even there yet.
No. This was... I think it passed overwhelmingly, too.
Well, at this point, those who have lost, and those who have won, and they have plenty of time to drop down the memory hole no matter what they do. That's why it always makes me nervous when we see like a large turnover in the Congress, because that means that now they can do whatever the hell they want because the consequences are all gone. They're not worried about the elections coming at all.
Yeah. All right, my dad's here. I'm going to eat. I'll be back in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, no sweat. It's fine. Yep, see you in 15.
I'll just go on hold.
That's cool. So, you know, the reality of all this stuff that's going on, as I see us moving forward into 2015, you know, and as I see, you know, a great many strange things on the horizon, I'm wondering if we're going to see a resurgence of the whole Ebola narrative once more, because you know, I did look and see very closely what some of the news agencies were saying were the top stories of the year, and you know, maybe I should actually go over that stuff because it's almost laughable. Some of the nonsense that they think is important regarding 2014. 2014 was a pretty remarkable year altogether. But the whole Ebola thing, yeah, I'm wondering if they're gonna, you know, pull that rabbit back out of the hat and play the mind trick with you guys once more out there. Because as I said from the start, there was absolutely no way that I believed that this is going to be a prolific problem, you know, in the continental United States. Now, of course, we got all those wonderful scare tactics regarding it, and you know, we're told, gee, it could be anywhere and everywhere. And of course, for a little while, when people started coughing and such, it would definitely trigger the whole Ebola discussion, and not just on airplanes, as everybody else was also worried about. Of course, the other fun thing was the shutterbugs chasing around that nurse or whatever while she was doing her bike riding and her defiance of governors, and on and on and on. I also found it kind of interesting as well that the other day Jules was talking about on her show Governor Krispy Kreme over there, who, you know, let's not forget, not too long ago, was supposed to be a viable presidential candidate for the you know, for the GOP, as it were. And of course, if you lived in or know anyone in New Jersey, you know, you might want to rethink that one and ask them what they think of the governor's performance thus far. But of course, he came up because they were talking about, once again, that whole Bridgegate scandal, which was over the George Washington Bridge, and him utilizing, you know, traffic patterns and causing problems for people purposely to punish them for political insubordination in one form or another. Well, this guy, you know, as much as, you know, he seems to be one of these people that that gets that sort of outlined voter, that that outcast voter to come out and support him in a lot of ways. Or at least that's the way it looked on the ground. There are a lot of people that were sort of disenfranchised emotionally with the whole political system, seemed to want to re-engage themselves when this guy came onto the scene, virtually without Hurricane Sandy and his own political scandals. I don't think we'd have any real reason to discuss this guy. He's just yet another one of these blowhards in an extra large suit, as it were. So Governor Krispy Kreme, thankfully we don't have to deal with that as a real presidential run, I think. But that does lead us further into, more posturing that's going to go on for 2016, which is going to happen over this next year. That's for sure. Will Hillary actually be a real candidate, or will she just be a stalking horse of one type or another for someone else? Will we be dealing with yet another Bush presidency? I still say President Jeb makes me shudder and quiver just a bit. But then again, who's listening to what bothers me? And all of that, when you take it into the context of understanding that, essentially the grand puppet in chief, as it were, formerly known as the POTUS or the President of the United States, actually doesn't seem to wield much power anymore. He's pretty much just the front man for those who do what it is they do behind the scenes, as it were. And, of course, this is just about the cue where I usually get harangued with the dancing Israeli questions. But I don't see that happening tonight. What else is coming up? Well, it's really a crapshoot the way I see it for 2015. It's one of those things where... I don't know, I have teetered back and forth between optimism and skepticism, and I'm not really sure how all this is going to play out. Personally, I've been overwhelmed with things lately, and thusly have not been on top of my game the past few shows, that's for sure, and I am trying to do my best to recover right now. And, I'm going to assume at this moment that my guest will not be able to make it in any way, shape, or form. So, did I have any other agenda tonight? Not really particularly. So I guess we'll go back into some more of these discussions about 2015. I think we're going to see a repackaging of the ISIS crisis, as it were, because, once again, I think it failed to sell most people. For a little while there, it seemed as though terror and the idea of the greater Islamic State was a huge enough threat, was a big enough boogeyman to entice people to once again support the idea of the American empire moving ever forward, ever onward, ever upward into other people's butts. But, it doesn't seem to be the boogeyman it once was. So I guess they're going to have to repackage that. I wonder what'll be next, because the beheadings that, the alleged beheadings, I should say, the alleged beheadings and the symbolic nature of those things and the attempts to, sort of evoke the barbarians and biblical speak and end time sort of prophecy and all this kind of good stuff really just didn't quite reach the masses the way it should have, and I think it's because they're actually speaking above most people's heads at this point. So they're trying to sell you a lie, but they're making it too complex. So the ISIS crisis, as it were, seems to be one of those fallacies that will fall upon its own weight. Now, I have been sort of curious about why it is that everybody is accepting this sort of arguing over who might have actually killed Osama bin Laden. That's kind of funny stuff. Just for the record, I am awfully skeptical of that whole thing. My opinion is that he died a long time before, and that was a fully staged event. So, I don't think nothing is staged. I just think some things are. But, having this Navy SEAL come out and then supposedly getting himself into trouble for not vetting his book by the military intelligence people that he was supposed to, or passing it by, those that are supposed to vet these books. Because as I've stated before, the CIA, if you're a former CIA agent, or if you're someone who worked as an asset for the agency, you have to clear and vet any sort of manuscript that you intend to release with them. So, for those that think they're getting these great whistleblower books out there, just remember that even the whistleblowers' books are quite well redacted, generally speaking. Only through underground publications and underground communications are you ever going to get anything resembling the possible truth. Of course, I see a great uptick coming this year also for the truther movement out there, which is not entirely supportable by logic, facts, or reality. I think there's going to be a greater increase of the send in the clowns phenomenon that I've seen in alternative media, so brace yourselves for that. I think a lot of people are going to get up and running with things because they are quite well-funded, and we will see the well-funded controlled opposition make a greater stake out there in the world as it goes. Now, of course, a lot of people wonder whether the internet is going to become a great deal more controlled this year. I don't think they're going to get any of that work done. There's going to be celebration after January. There's going to be the increased ramping up of, the aligning of pockets, as it were. So you got to give these guys, this new Congress, a little time to settle in. And, once they're done raping and pillaging, they might get to the disinformation campaign that they need to be on at all times, because after all, they do have to remain ever vigilant to make sure that you, the people, believe that you still have a voice. So, let's see, what else? Do I have any entertainment predictions? No, I don't. I am really thoroughly disconnected from most of the entertainment industry as it stands. Hollywood will likely indulge itself with some more reloads of, surefire mechanisms to market things, as they have in the past. I mean, how many times are we going to see Godzilla reloaded? How many times are they going to reload the same superheroes once more, with a different franchise, and yet it's still got the same trademark on it? And the comic book industry... comic book industry might actually be interesting this coming year, because I think there's going to be enough of a shift in the greater consciousness to cause a different audience to emerge. So I think what we're going to see actually is some media start to have even greater failures than it did in recent years, because the fact is that the more they fail, the more they'll be forced to come up with something else that you might want to consider buying as your dollar slips into oblivion, of course. And they keep telling us that it's just fine to earn the small wages, and it's just fine to be subsidized by the government. I heard something interesting the other day too about the experimentation, and this is an odd idea here, but I heard something the other day about the experimentation of the Swiss government possibly giving a standard income to all its citizens. It wouldn't be an income that would be, commensurate with living in, the lap of luxury or anything like that, but like a standard base income that all citizens would be entitled to just by virtue of them being citizens. They're apparently experimenting with this idea, and of course this type of thing has been discussed here in this country. Don't think for a minute that we don't have plenty of socialist ideas and ideals out there. After all, there was something called Social Security, although now it's just, part of being on the government payroll, as it were, and has virtually nothing to do with those retirement savings and that great amount of tax that comes out of anybody's paycheck who actually gets a paycheck. But again, I speak of hyperbolic things, don't I? So, what else are we going to see in 2015? Well, how about this? I think that because of the greater integration, the internet integration, as it were, of the old sort of dinosaur media into the 21st and then the 22nd century ideal, because after a while, during the 20th century, don't forget, we started talking about 21st century as forward thinkers, for those of you who are alive during that time. The thing is that 21st century thinking, as it was described, say, in the 1980s, was all about going forward and utilizing technology as it evolved and dealing with the evolving population, the evolving social issues that were emerging at that time, but in a future tense. So I guess we can start, since we are more than a decade and a half deep into this particular century, we can start talking about the 22nd century ideals as far as the far-flung future goes, or the seemingly far-flung future that most of us will not see. After all, I don't intend on seeing another turn of the century. Even if somebody wanted to give me life extension technology, I don't think I'd want to be there for it. I definitely don't want to survive too much longer on this planet. It's awfully painful. But enough of my personal idiosyncrasies. The thing is, when we start to talk about the future tense of what will be, after all, most of the media is tethered to devices. So I think that we're going to see greater moves in reducing the dependency on devices and sort of centralizing this stuff a little bit. Like the greater experiments about collecting internet access, the greater experiments about collecting about making collectivist cooperatives. And I'm trying to do something here, but it's not working out. This is what happens when I try to multitask, blind as I am. Anyway, when we're talking about the greater access to technology, after all, the quality of your access may not be, solely constrained to exactly how much you can spend on your cell phone or your tablet or your computer. There may actually become like a class system or a caste system regarding intellectual properties as they travel across electronic means. And I think, this is one of those things that will begin to emerge in the coming years. I don't know if 2015 will be the year that does that, but I think we'll start to see the groundwork laid for it. And of course, the predictive programming that usually comes from the entertainment industry. See, I go back to the entertainment industry anyway, even though I'm unplugged from it. When you look at the stuff that starts to come out from the movies and from the sci-fi and all of that stuff, one does start to wonder, where we're going. After all, if you take a look at the, everybody points to this, but of course the use of tablets and touch technology in the Star Trek universe, kind of looks very much like what we have today. As a matter of fact, our stuff works a little bit better than theirs did, usually, although we're not as capable of repairing this stuff on the fly, it seems. Maybe it's just me. At any rate, let's go forward. The entertainment industry will start to produce something new along with its reloads. I think they're out of ideas, so they're going to have to start to get with the program and the greater script, which I think is going to start to emerge. So those reloads, I think, will probably see yet another Godzilla in the plans. Why not, Hunger Games, the prequel, why not revisit the whole, what was that, Breaking Dawn? Oh, I forget what the name of that thing was. I mean, after all, they're done with Harry Potter, unless that supposed author wants to write another book, right? So where else are we going to go? Oh, well, of course, the work is being done on the Star Wars movies. I don't know if anybody's aware of that, but I was a fan of those as a kid. So I just continuously flip through my stuff here and see what it is that strikes my fancy. Because still, I am not able to get in touch with who I want to get in touch with.
Chuck.
Dylan. Hey, Dylan.
Hi. Were you on silence the whole time?
No, I wasn't silenced. I was going on and on about my various predictions and possibilities for the next year and the next decade, in fact.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I think we might have had yet another weird little connection interruption. I'm not sure.
I can't predict for the next decade.
Oh, no, I wouldn't expect you to, but let's see. Okay. I was just trying to read something there, of course. As I said just a couple seconds ago, I can't multitask very well. But I am trying. So for those who did tune in expecting to hear Frank Gregory Ford, sorry about that. Guess what? I can't seem to get in touch with him.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm checking the other way that I actually stay in contact with him to see what's up, but, yeah, okay. Oh, a complimentary message. How rare and weird is that?
Complimentary message?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, I'll read.
Sorry, I'm slightly confused.
No problem. I usually get lots of hate messages, you know that.
Right. Oh, a compliment.
Yeah, I actually got a compliment instead of people haranguing me and screaming at me for things I said or things they're accusing me of being involved in or whatever cult it is they think that I happen to follow. Which, just for clarification out there, if I were to get involved in a cult, I wouldn't be a follower. Okay, so
you'll get all new hate mail now.
Look, I could talk about something, and never mind. Never mind. We're not going to go into my history tonight. No. I'm not in the mood to really go at it, but let's just say I know something about cults. All right. So somebody sent me a message, and I said something, and we were discussing about growing up in different eras and how things were, and I won't identify this person because they don't want their name identified on the air. They told me that a long time ago in a conversation. But anyway, I basically said, well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and believe me, the world doesn't look any better to me than it does to you, even though you're younger than me. Okay, this is what I said to this person. So, what did I get back? I got, well, things must have been different back then. Internet and phones were not around. This is true, and, well, there were phones, but there were no cell phones. You know, actually, in the late 80s, we did start to see a couple of cell phones, but that was like urban technology, and you had to be a high-level drug dealer to have that. Plus, they were as big as a suitcase or needed to be carried in a suitcase. You all right, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm good. Some water went down the wrong pipe.
Well, that happens to me all the time, too. Okay. So, then in the next part of the little broken up pieces of message here, does not make the world any better, I agree with you. I listen all the time. You have a great understanding of life and things around you. You speak in a way most people don't. So, I'll take that as a high compliment. I don't know if it's a good thing that I don't speak in the same way most people do, but I'm going to take that as a compliment, and that's a rare one right there, because usually I get, you know, you're a devil worshiper, and not only are you a devil worshiper, but you're protecting the Zionists, and, you know, and...
But somehow you're also a gatekeeper.
Well, I'm a gatekeeper for the Jews, as it were, is what I'm told. So... because I won't discuss anything having to do with, you know, the evil criminal state of Israel, but I do.
We've talked about that plenty of times, even when I've been on.
Well, right, and I just don't linger on it. I just kind of go, well, yeah, that's an evil state, and of course it's only existed for less than 100 years. There are much longer standing evil states and evil empires that are still, you know, making the world go round, as it were. But anyway, I'm a bad guy for saying that. And I'm also a bad guy for saying something about the Catholic Church and everything else, you know.
Wait, you're a bad guy for saying something about the Catholic Church?
Oh, yeah, because...
If anything, it sounds like your viewers would like that.
No, they're not happy with that either, because... first thing was, well, the Catholics have nothing to do with the derivative bubble. The Catholics didn't plan 9/11. There were no dancing Catholics on top of a building in New York City, and on and on and on. Of course, all of the wonderful scandals that we do know about, coming out of the church, as it were. Well, those things are perfectly acceptable because, after all, they didn't plan 9/11. Reminds me very much of when Mike Tyson got out of prison. You know who Mike Tyson is?
Vaguely.
Well, nowadays you can see that he's got a show on Cartoon Network.
He does?
Yeah, the Mike Tyson Mysteries. I kid you not.
Really?
Anyway.
I don't watch Cartoon Network, but I'm kind of surprised that he has one.
Yeah, well, they also have a new thing about a satanic dog called Mr. Pickles. But I love cartoons. I can't help it, dude. I will always watch cartoons. Anyway.
Yeah, I do too.
So, but back to the Mike Tyson thing. He was at one point the undefeated and undisputed heavyweight champion of the world until a guy named James Buster Douglas knocked him out. I don't know. I guess that was like 1990, I think. But anyway, long time, he was the guy who bit Evander Holyfield's ear.
Sounds like an interesting guy.
None of this stuff is ringing a bell for you, huh?
No, but I'm also not a huge wrestling fan.
Boxing, but it's okay.
Boxing. I thought they were the same thing.
Well, no, at one point when he couldn't get a license to box, he did participate in some wrestling stuff, I think. Kind of funny. But, yeah, well, boxing starts to look like wrestling when you looked at a guy like Don King running things, but it's not. It's actually, a sport, as opposed to just entertainment.
And now you're going to get hate mail for saying wrestling's fake.
Oh, well, you know what? I'll be rather surprised if anybody that wants to tell me that wrestling is real figured out how to turn on their computer and find the website. So, if you did, I'm proud of you just for that, okay? Thank you so much. And one day, and I'll tell you what, if people do want to tell me that wrestling is real, then I will gladly cover the great conspiracy to murder Jake the Snake Roberts on one of my shows. I will do that, I promise you.
Ooh.
So, anyway.
Okay, you just confused me, but
how did I confuse you?
It sounds like you want to cover that, so.
How did I confuse you?
I've never heard of that before.
Jake the Snake Roberts, wrestling, what? Which thing haven't you heard of?
The conspiracy to murder Jake the Snake.
There are all these. Okay. Ever since there was all these problems with the steroid use and all these other allegations with what was then called the WWF, which was then sued by the World Wildlife Foundation and forced to call itself the WWE. After that, there was a lot of controversy about allowing people to go insane. There was that one guy who was a wrestler, I think, about a year ago. I think it was about a year ago, and you know what? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. He just went nuts, like roid rage nuts, and like murdered his family and all that other stuff. You never heard any of this?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, at one point they were saying that it was sort of being pushed on the performers, as it were, to engage in all sorts of drug use, ranging from steroids to painkillers to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that this was like part of what was going on there with that organization. So a lot of that stuff has been squashed, and believe me, they've done a magnificent job with their PR campaign to eliminate most of it. But there are people out there who are true believers in wrestling. I kid you not. I met one a few weeks ago. Have you ever met somebody like that?
No, I haven't. Kind of glad I haven't.
It's a remarkable experience to have someone look at you with that very glazed, interesting deer-in-the-headlights look on their face and say to you with all seriousness that wrestling ain't all fake. It's mostly real. And I see you're speechless now. Thank you. Well, you know, considering that you're in a classroom with kids that think Barack Obama wants to help out with the genocide against black people, I'm figuring that you could possibly, meet somebody.
I'm sure I could find one, but it's my efforts not to, so far, that have helped.
Well, hey. Anyway, you still haven't been back to school yet, so God knows what they're going to think for 2015, but...
God help us all.
And you know what? I think we're going to have a serious, and I mentioned this before, but I didn't really cover it. I think we're going to have an increase in the sort of hoaxer industry out there as well.
Hoaxer industry?
Yeah, you didn't... you weren't involved in those conversations. Let me tell you this. There are individuals out there who spend a lot of time pushing the most insane crackpot theories possible. And I do mean the most insane. I mean, stuff that, like
reptilians rule the world?
Well, you know what? And you know how many people argue with me about that?
I'm sure I've met a couple of those people.
I mean, David Icke is an interesting guy and all. But,
yeah.
Go ahead.
But he did make a career out of claiming he was Jesus. Not saying he's wrong about everything, but nobody's questioning this.
Well, you know, that ties right back to the Charles Manson thing I was talking about before. Remember, at one point he was claiming to be Jesus and the devil wrapped into one, according to the official legend, as it were. So,
isn't that a trip?
But not really. It actually makes a whole lot more sense to me than most of the stuff I see out there in the alternative media stream at this point. You know, I shake my head because I think there's going to be a great increase in the spread of information regarding how every single thing is staged, and I think there's going to be a new industry, actually, that's going to come up, because I've started to hear whispers about this already, where there is absolutely no evidence for anything having occurred, okay? Now, I want you to picture this in your mind, because it's the only way I can explain this. Imagine that somebody told you, now you live in New Jersey, okay? So imagine that, say, in the next town, okay, you start to see on the internet that something has been covered up in the next town. That there was a mass casualty event, that there was, 200 people died. Okay?
Okay.
It's all being covered up by the FBI, by the news agencies, by everyone. But it actually happened. You're not following me, are you?
I am No, I am following you.
Okay.
So far.
So, what they will do now is present to you eyewitness interviews with people who say they saw it happen. Okay, with people that they say they knew. They'll show you empty houses where people used to live that are now deceased. All this kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to create legends like this to create effects. For instance, let's just say this mass casualty event occurred in the next town over from you, right? It's being covered up because the government had to do it in order to get rid of an Ebola outbreak that was going to come out of there.
Now, the government would be parading that around, but...
Well, I am not asking you to embrace logic. I'm asking you to understand what it is that I'm starting to see is happening. Like, they're basically telling you to look out your window and see that the sun has turned black, although it has not. And the reason why you can't see it is because it's being hidden from you. You know what I'm saying? It's
no,
really...
I get where you're going with this. So you think we'll see more of that?
I think we're going to see some of those things start to emerge toward the end of the year. These great constructions of because they're fairy tales and they're very useful for basically putting the proverbial tinfoil hat on all of us. See, okay, if we go back historically a little bit, the whole revisionist history kind of genre, culture as it were, begins with the JFK assassination, right? So, when we look back at that, and we examine the fact that immediately when they would say, well, you believe that Oswald didn't do it, so therefore you believe in alien abductions, and therefore you believe in yada, yada, yada. Then they tie you to a whole bunch of things which have absolutely nothing to do with what it is you're focused on, right?
Right.
So this is a great strategy. It's like a straw man thing where they go, well, since you did this, you did this, and these things are silliness, so you're just talking silliness because, you're talking silliness.
I get the feeling that I'm talking silliness.
Well, but there you go. Now, so here's the thing. When they produce these things and make convincing, videos and web pages about it, again, because they already do it regarding some of these events where they give you all sorts of misleading crap to try and get you down the wrong rabbit hole. Now there's going to be wholesale making up of stuff. Now it's a whole lot easier to tell us things happened in Pakistan, say, like killing Osama bin Laden. It's a whole lot easier to make that up because, telling us that here in the United States is easy because how many of us have connections where we can get information out of Pakistan?
Yeah, well, with the internet.
Oh, right. So these will be even easier, sort of easier destroyed straw men than we had in the past. That's what I see coming.
Why do you see that coming?
Because I'm watching some of these things being said already where people are being told that events are happening in their hometowns that they're not seeing. It's already happening in a lot of parts of this country where I'm watching these arguments go back and forth on these, forums about, well, you're in the place where this happened. What happened? Nothing. Oh, so you're covering it up. But like weird, crazy claims, and I'm seeing them in bunches now. I don't even want to give specifics to it because I don't even want to show people like where to search for this crap.
Because then you'll get messages that you're covering it up.
Well, yeah, of course, but whatever. I'll take that because there's so many of them I think are going to emerge that they're not going to be able to pin me covering up anything on any of them. So anyway,
it's an interesting one.
I don't know. Yet again, one of my strange ideas, but what am I going to say? So I've killed an hour.
Well done.
Not really, but I'm trying. So, let's see now. We will have the 14th anniversary of 9/11, which is not going to be a big marked one. The 13th one was interesting, though, I'll say that.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention for that one. Why was that so interesting?
Well, because they actually finally put that... put the new complex into business there, and you remember the whole thing about them bringing the families, bringing those remains in the Ziploc bags. I was kind of lit up about it for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And of course, they're in sealed caskets that nobody gets to see, and they're put deep underground and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah. So, but I don't think we're going to have any sort of events or recognition of stuff like that happening this year. I don't know. 2015 though does seem to speak like a pivotal point though, nonetheless, because I think this is where a lot of things are going to actually get decided, where we're going to actually be able to see where the rest of the story is going finally. Regarding a lot of these international events. And I still say, still say that the greater action is going to be on the continent of Africa for the ignition point for World War III. It's still going to happen. They rather quietly dumped extra troops into there to deal with the whole Ebola situation, didn't they?
Do you think that'll start? Do you think that'll actually happen this year?
Which thing? The actual... No, I think they're just going to quietly shuffle more and more assets into the place, and then things will just seem to happen, by circumstance. That's what I'm seeing. Did I lose you? Oh, okay.
No, I'm here.
I'll tell you, man, it's a weird night. I'm not sure what's working and what's not. And at one point, I even had 7, 8 stupid windows pop up, giving me a 404 error for some reason. No idea where that came from.
Well, my computer keeps yelling at me that my security doesn't allow for this file to be downloaded, but it won't tell me what file I'm downloading.
Oh, that might be a good thing then.
Yeah, but it's like 30 windows popped up overnight. And I could not delete them when I woke up. It basically, those messages basically took over my computer. I had to unplug it.
Yeah, I got some files too. Are you using an HP machine?
Dell.
Oh, okay. Because I got some stuff which was supposed to be from HP that I didn't ask for. I got some other stuff that seemed to go along with other files. I finally did get that Audacity file back up, and was actually planning on redoing my bumper music. I started to work on that, and that went all to crap on me.
So you've just been having a day filled with technological failures.
Well, not a day filled, because I didn't actually get on the computer till about 5 o'clock. For the first time, so I wasn't doing anything, but maybe the computer was doing something without me. I'm not sure. And thankfully, Skype is done with its updates, I think.
The new Skype update is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not sure if that's what part of the problem is for my broadcasts or not,
That might be. That might be. This new version of Skype absolutely sucks. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. As far as I know, I'm here. You got me, right?
Yeah. You dropped for a second.
Of course. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. This is like the Clueless 2 hours on the Ochelli effect. I love it. Love it. Anyway, if anybody is on my Skype list that wishes to join into the conversation, go right ahead. I don't think I have the phones forwarded, though I did try to get them forwarded. Hell, at this rate, I might as well bring Frankie in to scream at you guys for a little while, because I was completely unprepared to do anything other than have this discussion with Frank Gregory Ford, so... boy.
What would you have done if you had to talk by yourself for these past 2 hours?
Babbled incessantly like I have been doing most of this show. This is actually a busted plan filler show, and I even had somebody who could have been a backup guest, but apparently they can't Skype in either. So I'm amazed that you made it. All right, let's get to an easy topic, because, again, I did start to discuss movies with... I did start discussing movies while you were eating. And the entertainment business in general. So, my prediction for 2015, more reloads.
Of course.
More of the same.
Actually, 2015 seemingly is going to be a pretty nice year for original content.
Way to shoot me down. Okay, so why do you say that?
Because you have a lot of films coming out that are not part of a franchise and are not remakes of films. They're more independent, but remakes Remakes don't happen as often as you think.
It just seems like it, you know?
Right.
I mean,
I know it seems like it, but when you actually tally up the number of reboots with the number of individual films, or independent films, away from a franchise, or at least the start of a franchise, it's like a 5-to-1 ratio.
no kidding. So it's only that much. See, why does it seem like more to me then? I mean, is it because I'm just unengaged in the whole thing now, or?
Well, no, because the sequels and reboots are the only things that really... They're the main things that make money. I mean, if you think about it, if you go down the list of all the summer blockbusters, two original films, 4 sequels, and 2 reboots.
Well, you know...
But if you go down the list of other films, I've seen at least 11 smaller films this year that aren't part of a franchise, are not reboots. So really the ratio is actually really small when you think about it.
No, I guess so, but I mean, maybe it's again, like you said, it seems as though there are more of them because they're out there in the theater longer, so therefore they get greater ad space and all that.
And they make the most money. Fans are comfortable with sequels and reboots. That's why they go to see them more. Independent films don't have as much staying power.
No, not usually.
So that's why you see them more, because they're the most financially successful.
Well, yeah, they are more financially viable because, you know, it is a familiar story and people do appreciate familiar stories. Like you said, they're more comfortable with them. You know what's weird, though? Have you been keeping track of the whole thing with Sony and the Interview movie?
Yeah, we actually got into that in the last, 3 minutes of the Tuesday show. But yeah, I have been keeping close track of that.
Okay, so have they finally recouped their supposed investment yet, or what?
What do you mean by recouped their investment? There are no more leaks coming out, if that's what you mean.
Well, no, they stopped the so-called illegal downloads that were out there.
They haven't. It's too much. They're too out there now.
Right. I do find it funny that they finally sort of, now the mainstream has sort of said what I said from day one with that, which is, it looks like an inside job. Which is usually the case.
I said that from the beginning. I mean, North Korea with no internet hacked Sony.
Yeah, right. Right. It reminds me of years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago, but one of the X-Men films, I think it was the Wolverine film in that franchise.
The one I don't want to remember.
Okay, well, see, but the anticipation level was high for that thing, right?
Oh, I remember.
And here's the thing, I would say 90 days before it hit the theater, a version of it was available. And I mean available to the point where, I was able to go buy it from the guy who could sell me the stuff, you know what I mean? But before it hit the theater. And clearly it was a mechanic's copy because some of the effects were a little bit off. They weren't finished.
Right. Movies typically don't finish their special effects until 15 days before they go out to the theaters.
Well, yeah, exactly. So the thing was, me telling you that I got a copy of it 90 days before it went out makes a lot of sense considering that, right? But
right.
But it was all over the place, and they were so upset about it. And
Sony's lawyers were in high gear, I bet.
Oh, yeah, they were. And this isn't even how many years ago was that? Let me think.
That was 2009, so just 5 years, a little over 5 years.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, let me think now. Downloading movies, well, you know what? It was kind of still a viable thing to do 5 years ago, right?
It's still pretty viable.
Well, no, now I know, but what I'm saying is 5 years ago it was also just as accessible as it is now. You go back to 2001, it wasn't. Very simple.
Well, in 2009, you still had Mega Upload. so it was a lot easier to find.
Yeah, I mean, and torrents were available and stuff like that. So I mean, it's it's not even a big issue. But the funny thing was that they were still selling the like the bootleg DVD copies on the street with the hopefully you get a color printer, but sometimes a black and white printer, a cover of a movie or whatever, right?
Right.
And so these things were floating around back then, and they were doing a freak job. But the whole thing was, it had to have been somebody who was working on the movie that had access to the rough cut of the film, So you could sort of get around it and buy yourself one for, $10 instead of bothering to spend $10 to buy one movie ticket. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the free download thing. Well, anyway, back to the Sony current situation. So they're starting to say that basically it looks like it was an inside job.
Just Tuesday, actually, I think I mentioned it before your show ended, that investigators from Sony said it was an inside job. Yeah,
exactly, and I think that did actually splash on the mainstream like that day, so we know that so far. But are they still crying that they didn't make their money back because they spent how much money to make that film? I forget what it was. Wasn't it like $34 million that they spent?
$34 million on production, 15 million on the willing marketing, but in unwilling marketing, probably about $100 million.
Yeah, but they didn't spend that money.
No, they lost that money.
yeah, right. So the thing is, I mean, what are we talking about? Okay, look, saying that they never got money for something is one thing, but to actually think about their investment and what they didn't get back, where are we at?
Sony claims that it's going bankrupt, right? We're in agreement on that. Sony claims that their video game division is the only thing making money. But the emails leaked out say they're making between $800 and $900 million in their movie division alone, or for a $100 million investment.
Yeah, well, and gee, wouldn't anybody like to take that up?
Yeah, and 100,000 employees got laid off, so they could increase that to $1 billion profit.
Well, yeah, isn't that always the sweet thing? Notice that I've always cracked up over this too, is the whole concept of job creators, where it's like, if we give these rich people and rich corporations a whole lot more breaks, they'll make more jobs. You ever notice that math never works?
If anything, they get rid of more.
Really? I mean, it's like the gas price being what it was, and meanwhile the which that's dropped a lot. What is it at in Jersey? Have you noticed?
No, they got rid of the one by my house, so.
What, they got rid of the gas station?
Yeah.
Oh. But you didn't happen to notice what the price was lately, huh?
No, I'll check next time.
Because it's, they talk about on the news how it's starting to fall back below $2, and oh my. And meanwhile, a barrel of oil is dirt cheap at this point. Really more commensurate with that, $1.25 level. Of gas price that we were at, some years back.
Yeah, but
and what we should see, because all of the reason for this great inflation when it comes to food, when it comes to merchandise, when it comes to a whole lot of different levels of commerce, a lot of this stuff is supposed to now be coming down in price because the fuel prices are lower, right? You see any price reductions? I don't.
Chuck, on the Sony hacks, what do you mean by inside job? Do you mean an employee did it or Sony did it?
I could go either way on that one.
I would say a former employee did it.
See, but because it was so well covered by the media, and because, they doth protest the way they did, almost seems like it was planned by them anyway to kind of like let an employee do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know about that. They Sony's not too keen on losing money, and they did lose. Well, they claim to have lost quite a bit on this one.
Yeah, but realistically, over time, I think they're going to make a great deal more. I mean, how much are they saying they got back out of this? I guess it's a $50 million investment altogether.
Well, once you take into account the marketing campaign for the interview, including paying for the theaters that ultimately never showed the movie, and then the infrastructure, I'd say you come out to about $175 million loss.
Okay, and then what have they claimed to have made thus far?
With the interview?
Yeah.
$15 million. I think the total between online and theaters came out to about $17.8 million.
Are you buying that?
That's how much or how little they made?
That's how little they made thus far.
Yes, I do actually.
Oh, wow. Okay, I don't.
What purpose would they have for lying about how much they got back from the movie?
To continuously cry foul. You know,
they could still continuously cry foul if the movie made. If let's say it made $50 million, they could still cry foul.
Well, then they would have gotten back their. They believe me. It's not. I don't know why you're adding another $100 million onto the
security infrastructure that they claim was destroyed.
Oh well, that's another issue though. I'm talking about just the movie.
Okay, well, with the movie, $50 million only.
Yeah, and if you think, look, you can practically put a kitty video up, and I mean a kitty cat video up on a movie screen and make $15 million anymore. I mean, it's not that hard. I'm not believing that they only took in $15 million with the online sales and everything else, because there's a whole lot of people out there that have no idea how to get that illegal download that now wanted to see it and see what the big controversy was and actually catch the scene of what's his name getting his head lit on fire and whatever else.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that's all they made. I would be surprised if that's all they made, but I don't know. I would not be totally against the possibility that they made more.
Plus, they're going to get paid for their DVD, Blu-ray sales. Okay, that's going to come too. There's also going to be the other back end contracts, which you get from like the first time it runs on network television, you get paid. The first time it runs on the premium channels, cable wise, they pay for that stuff.
Right, but the DVD sales actually don't make up a huge amount of the profits, and because the movie, say it grosses $50 million throughout its whole run, it's not going to make $35 million in DVD sales. It's not. It might make $15 million, but it's not going to be a huge profit that they gain from the DVD sales. The network television, I'd say, is a different story. I think they will gain quite a bit out of that.
Well, right, and let's just say, like your HBO or Showtime or Cinemax or whatever becomes the first channel to run it. They pay extra money to make sure that it can't go over to their competitors, as it were, because it's an exclusive movie to them. For the time being, all this kind of stuff plays into what they end up actually recouping. So right. even if you can believe the $15 million, which I'm having a hard time with. But even if you can believe that, I'm sure that they'll get their money back.
Oh yeah, they will. I don't know why they're still crying. They'll make their money back easily within a year. And even if they don't, $1 billion profit. I think you can afford to lose $50 million.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, well, listen, here's your $100 bill. I guess we'll take a dollar away from you.
And you're not going to cry foul.
Yeah,
you sued the guy over that $1, are you?
Yeah, well, see, there you go. I mean, is it worth your time? See, to me, it looks like a giant, like, publicity stunt marketing campaign, and that's why I say the inside job doesn't necessarily reside only with, with some former employee. I don't think it's that simple.
No, I'd like to see what else is involved in this. Right now it's tough to tell.
Well, again, since I know you love movies, how about Black Hat? Have you seen that yet, or?
No, I've never even heard of it, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, there's this, now they're going to start, and this is going to become more prolific, I figure, over the course of this coming year, is more of these, like, tech-based kind of dramas. Where, Black Hat, you know what Black Hat refers to, right?
Right.
So you got Black Hat hackers, you got White Hat hackers, so this is obviously, short speak so that you understand you're dealing with somebody who's probably like a master Black Hat kind of hacker guy. And, what do you think about that kind of stuff coming up? You think that's going to really engage the audience out there, or no?
I don't think it'll engage the audience, but, I think it has potential to be a nice draw for a little while. I don't know if it has staying power, but I would like to see those movies. They sound really interesting. Oh
yeah. And meanwhile, I've got a hard time again with Sony claiming that they can't make money, because look at it this way: Netflix turns around and produces House of Cards, right? That cannot be a cheap thing to produce.
House of Cards?
Yeah.
Produced by Netflix, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Good show. Yeah, it's not that small.
Right. I mean, it's a fairly elaborate production. Looks just as good as any mainstream TV, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Good as any movie. Got some named people in there. Kevin Spacey and Susan Sarandon and some other people like that. I forget who else is in that movie, that series. I can't even think of it. But the point is that Netflix, who charges you $8 a month, can afford to produce that. That can't be a cheap proposition. And I'm sure they're not losing money on it.
No, Netflix makes a ton of money, so... $8 a month, I can see how they got to that point where they can produce that. What's that noise?
It's a dial tone. I recognize the noise. I'm not sure from where it's coming from.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from either. I was gonna say something, but I forget now.
No problem. It's a strange night, Dylan. It's definitely a strange night.
There were actually 2 movies that I've seen this year that I would recommend you check out.
Okay.
One is Nightcrawler. It's about the media.
See, I heard that was awful.
I really loved it.
Okay. I heard the character, God, who was that guy? Who was the main guy in that movie? The main the lead role, Jake Gyllenhaal. I heard that he actually shows some real acting chops in this one and is actually creepy, but that the story is kind of bad. That's what I was told.
I think the story is pretty good, and yet Jake Gyllenhaal becomes his character.
Okay, so at least that's accurate. So what else? You said you had 2.
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer. This one I haven't heard of.
It's a movie about chemtrails. The beginning of the movie shows a chemtrail plane, and the whole movie is about these chemtrails starting an ice age, and everyone lives on a train, and it's class warfare, police brutality on this train.
Oh, that does actually sound interesting.
It's a revolution. It's really cool.
May have to check that one out. How long ago did that one come out?
That came out in June, but it wasn't really a big movie. It's a South Korean movie. It opened in like 8 theaters in the U.S., I think.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's good. I really enjoyed it.
Huh. All right. Well,
But Nightcrawler basically talks about the media.
I see. All right. Well, you know what? It might be. What? How does it characterize the media?
It shows this bloodlust within the media.
Like if it bleeds, it leads kind of deal, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know, and go ahead.
And how sometimes the media creates the stories.
Well, yeah, that's okay. So it actually shows, you know, like fabrication within the news media and this kind of thing.
Not exactly fabrication, but a provocateur, as a kind of.
Okay.
Or sometimes actually causing the scenario to occur.
Yeah, well, I'm taking the terrible, terrible risk of trying to pull it up real quick to take a look at it. See if I can get a synopsis here.
With the way your tech's going today.
Yeah, God knows what'll happen. Let's see here. Okay, no, I don't want to see Fury. Did you see...
Fury was okay. Yeah. Fury was okay. It didn't make my top 10, but it was good.
Okay, so here's the basic synopsis. When Lou Bloom, a driven man desperate for work, muscles into the world of L.A. crime journalism, he blurs the line between observer and participant to become the star of his own story. Aiding him in his effort is Nina, a TV news veteran. Huh. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Jake Gyllenhaal. Renee Russo, Bill Paxton's in there too, huh? Okay.
Yeah, he plays sort of a minor role. I actually couldn't figure out it was him for the majority of the movie.
Well, that's a shocker. That's a shocker. And I still say you need to see Kill the Messenger.
I did. Remember?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, remember I told you I did get a chance to check it out?
My brain is mush, man. What did you think?
I really liked it. It was fun. It was a fun movie. Not the concept, but it was well directed.
Well, it doesn't disturb you at all that it's a true story, huh?
No, it does disturb me that it's a true story, but yeah, it's disturbing. But I pretty much knew a lot of that was happening anyway.
Somebody in the chat room said they saw Fury and it was neat to see the tanks, but otherwise it was garbage.
Yeah, I'm kind of with him. And all the gunfire strangely looks like stormtrooper lasers, which I didn't really understand.
Wait a minute. Fury is supposed to take place in World War II, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it looked like gunshots were being fired from stormtroopers in that movie.
Well, was it at night? I mean, were these during like night scenes? Oh, maybe I lost Dylan. If it was being seen at night, you might have had like tracer fire kind of stuff. So
sorry, I was talking to my mute button.
No problem. What I was saying is, if these were scenes that were supposed to be taking place at night, you might have been seeing tracer fire, or was it?
It was during day and night.
Oh, never mind.
And it looked like stormtrooper lasers. It was so weird. I couldn't figure out why they did it like that.
Yeah, and apparently an anonymous person in the chat room is agreeing with you. It did look that way. Wow, okay. That's pretty strange for World War II tech.
Yeah. But no, the characters were not very well made.
Well, okay, but now is that acting or is that the is it the script or is it the performer? Which one do you think there?
It's the script. Shia LaBeouf turned in a great performance. Logan Lerman gave a great performance. Brad Pitt gave a good performance. They all gave good performances, but the script was just bad.
Oh, you know what I meant to actually ask you about? Because did you ever bother to see 12 Monkeys, the movie?
No, I didn't get a chance yet. I'm actually, once I'm done here, I'm gonna watch 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time.
Oh, okay. Well, do yourself a favor. Take a break after that before you watch 2010: A Space Odyssey or whatever, because it's not good. And
2010. I hear you have to watch 2010 to understand 2001. Is that true?
I didn't have that problem. Now, look, Kubrick is Kubrick, but okay.
Kubrick is pretty good.
Yeah, generally speaking. But back to the 12 Monkeys thing. No, Bruce Willis is a time traveler, right? He's sent backwards in time to sort of trace the spread of a mass outbreak infection that wipes out most of the planet's population. Now, this
oddly fitting.
This was done many years ago, but here's even weirder, oddly fitting, is that this year they're actually going to start a TV series called 12 Monkeys, which is apparently based on the same concept. Now, the reason why I thought of it, again, was because you mentioned Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt was also in 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, Brad Pitt's an interesting guy. He's a good actor.
Yeah, I have no arguments here. Okay. So now we've discussed films for a while. Unless you got more stuff you want to add on there, because I'm always happy to let you talk about that, because I know you love films, and you appreciate that entertainment, which I have lost my taste for, but...
Yeah, well, subliminal messaging was a big thing. A lot of the movies I saw had a lot of subliminal messages in them that I was able to pick up on for the first time.
Well, it always is, though. There's always plenty of subliminal stuff going on. There's always plenty of, pre-programming going on where they're, normalizing certain possibilities for us for later. All this kind of stuff. It's actually pretty interesting to watch the way that, art imitates life, life imitates art, etc., and on and on. It's like a cyclical strangeness that goes on.
Right. I saw a movie, Divergent. It's the worst movie of the year for me. But the whole end scene is people with microchips being controlled.
Well, yeah, and that's been a popular thing. I don't think they need the microchips anymore, though. That's where I'm at with it.
No, I'm pretty much with you.
There might have been a time where the microchip might have made sense, but I think it's over. It's over, Johnny. It's over. That's a reference to Rambo, the First Blood, actually, First Blood, the movie. But anyway.
I've never seen Rambo.
You've never seen any of the Sylvester Stallone Rambo movies?
No.
All right, well, don't bother. It's not really that entertaining. I mean, you want to watch Stallone, posture as a manly man, watch Rocky, I guess. Although you will note that his IQ sort of did a roller coaster ride at one point, but that's okay. Anyway. So, okay, what else? Divergent's the worst film of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And Snowpiercer is, I guess, your best of the year?
Second.
Oh, second. What's
second
your best?
or third? Whiplash was actually my favorite.
I was trying to figure out who that was about, because I only saw the quick blurbs on it.
Yeah, Whiplash was good. It was actually excellent.
Okay. What else? Because you said second or third.
Nightcrawler was my second. I'm looking at the list now. Snowpiercer was my third.
Ah, okay. Where did you publish a list somewhere, by the way?
My Facebook wall.
Oh, okay. Just on your Facebook wall. Oh, and that does remind me. How's all that stuff going for the network and everything? You guys still go?
We're starting the lineup this Monday, Sunday or Monday.
Okay. Yeah, let me know about that. And, of course, you can find Dylan's stuff out there via The Truth Speaks, which is the name of it on YouTube and on a couple other networks out there. You were going to say something?
No, I wasn't. That was my dog.
Oh, excuse me. See, that's bad that I confuse you with your dog occasionally. But of course, you've been confused with other things on this show before. So it happens.
I've been confused for a lot of things.
And I know I asked this on Tuesday, but have you heard anything else from Colton?
No.
Okay, just checking. Because I think that would be a fascinating exchange. And I got to apologize to everybody once again that Frank Gregory Ford was supposed to be on with me but did not make it. We shall see what we can see regarding getting him back on again soon.
Hopefully Saturday goes better for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too, because, man, I don't need this kind of stuff. And, you know, who needs a disaster and then you got 2 hours to fill? But I got to thank you for showing up, because actually it would have just been me rambling, and who needs that? So... I mean, I'm not even doing that 1 hour thing over at Liberty Beacon anymore, you know, at the moment. So, still haven't updated as to what we're doing with that. We'll find out tomorrow what's going on there. Not sure what time of day tomorrow, but sometime tomorrow, just so you know.
Yeah, alright, I'm going to mute my mic real quick. I'm going to let my dad know the dog wants to go out.
Alright, you do that. Tell you something, it was definitely an odd year, 2014, and kicking off 2015 in a really disastrous way is a lot of fun. So, God knows this will not be a popular download, and, you know, what can I say? Maybe it'll get 5 views on YouTube, and people will send me nasty messages over how bad it was. Didn't intend for this one, folks, but there it is anyway. So,
the shows I'm on are always the one we end up just rambling on.
Well, you know, that's the thing, though. It does give you the chance to work back and forth, you know, without a script for sure, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have an interview subject... Oh, you know, I meant to ask you again about that guy that you told me to hook up with, the guy with the hunger strike and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Kevin Galali.
Okay. Kevin Galali.
We spent a long time trying to spell his name.
Yeah, well, look, if you don't give me the right spelling and I get the wrong guy on Facebook or whatever, I mean, what am I supposed to do? But,
hey, at least I stayed. At least I stayed and helped you get it spelled right.
No, and I appreciate that. Believe me, I do, but...
How did it go? Are you getting him?
I haven't actually approached him yet. He posted stuff to my wall right away, of course.
He does that, yeah. It's an automated thing he does, I think.
Yeah, apparently, you know, and I don't know how I feel about this guy, but what was the key phrase that you told me, though, is that he's actually in favor of population reduction?
Yeah, and he's in favor of a new world order. In
favor of a new world order. Well, that ought to be fun. I doubt he will last 2 hours with me, but we'll see.
He lasted the full 2 hours with me, because I was so confused. I did not know what had happened, so I wasn't really questioning him very much, because I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Didn't know where to go from there, I guess. Well. At any rate. Yeah, and he's supposed to be on a hunger strike or something. I didn't quite follow all that. Do you know what that's about?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
No problem. He's supposed to be on some sort of hunger strike at this point for something?
No, he was.
Oh, he was? Okay, what was that about?
I don't know, but he supposedly went on it for like 41 or 46 days.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was kind of cool actually, but the longest anyone ever went was, I think, 43, and they got brain damage. So I don't really believe that he went on that hunger strike. But
well, there's my dancing Israelis question in the chat room. Thank you. Thank you. So Dylan, what is your opinion on the dancing Israelis? There you go.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
You don't know what the dancing Israelis are?
Nope.
Okay, then.
Sorry.
Morning of 9/11, there were, I believe, guys in the chat room, go right ahead and correct me, but I think there was, five Israelis, 3 Israelis. I can't remember how many Israelis were on top of another building in New York City filming the collapse of the towers. And these guys bring it up to me all the time because, you know.
Sorry, I don't really.
Well, the obvious the obvious idea here is that what do you think as far as Israel and the Mossad being involved in 9/11? What do you think about Israel and Mossad being involved in everything in the world? How about that? Or being the greater evil on the planet? How about that?
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that. Okay, no problem.
I think,
You don't agree with what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians, though?
No, of course not.
No,
that's obvious genocide. That's obviously evil.
Okay, very good. Look, I dropped the question because they always say I won't bring it up. So there it is.
I'll answer the question. I don't think they're the greater evil in the world. They're certainly evil, but there, like you had said, there are plenty of empires that have been around much longer that are plenty more evil.
Right, and to me, the state of Israel is essentially a puppet of the British Crown, as it were. But and not necessarily the British Crown either. I mean, hey, why don't we just take it all back to the Rothschilds? And gee, there's another rabbit hole we could go into for a while, I guess.
Hey, Chuck, we killed a while. You've only got 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I'm not going to go any further on that. But okay. So, you see any other stuff coming up in the new year? I mean, I think these police brutality protests are going to die off because they've already served their purpose. They've allowed them to gather information as to what might happen in a limited uprising in this country. So, I think that's all done with pretty much. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. It's a 50-50, I think. I think you could see a resurgence of it. I think it's highly possible you could see a second wind, so to speak, of those protests.
Yeah, see, I'm betting against it because I just think that that no segment of this population will remain outraged long enough to maintain it or continue it. So I think that's about the end of it. But that's my opinion, different than yours.
I think there's one. I think there's one big one that was scheduled a while back. That's being scheduled for shortly.
What do you mean, the protests, or?
Yeah, one more, I think.
Oh, there's going to be one more massive protest?
I think that was what I had heard.
Well, I don't know. I think they failed to achieve their objective regarding the whole racial aspect of things, so who knows?
But I also think we're going to see... I think we're going to see a renewed conflict between Israel and Palestine. Palestine's going to the UN to become a state. So I think we'll see a huge uprising over there.
Where at again?
Yeah, Israel and Palestine.
Well, that's just a continuation of I mean, that's always been there. It's just occasionally the spotlight gets shown on it, so...
Right, but this time, Palestine is actually pursuing the ability to become a state, and Israel has promised much more violence if that happens, so I think we'll see another spotlight shown on it during the summer or something.
You think we'll see a spotlight on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in the summer? That's probably a safe bet. So, what do you think about the control of Iraq and all that kind of stuff? I know you said that we'll see an admitted engagement in Syria by the end of the year, but what do you think is going to happen with the Iraq narrative, as it were?
Well, Iraq is going to, I think, go under the same fate as Syria. I think we're going to see a fight in both places.
What do you think about Iran, though?
Iran? they're a wild card right now. If we invade Syria by the end of the year, the mutual defense agreement that the two countries have will bring Iran into the fight, bringing in Russia.
Well, since we're already hitting targets in Syria, though, I'm surprised that they haven't actually engaged based on that defense agreement as it is. You know?
I think we'll start to see something, because remember, currently the airstrikes aren't really... They're still new.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it.
They're still quite new, and I think Iran is going to be joining in the fight pretty soon.
Well, see, I wonder how that's gonna go down, on the world stage, because
it's gonna be chaos when that happens. You think the war drums are beating now?
Yeah, well, but you see, that's the thing is, the Peace Prize winning president, obviously is not looking to engage in any greater widespread warfare, is he?
I hope you're using sarcasm. I can't tell with you, though.
Yeah, of course. Oh, man. So anyway,
but
go ahead.
No, we'll see a resurgence. Obama can now say to the people who wanted to see the wars end that he ended the war in Iraq, but he considered the warmongers. I restarted the war in Iraq, and I started a war in Syria. So, if all he cares about is his legacy, he's made one heck of a legacy, I guess.
Yeah, quite the interesting... I wonder, actually, how history is going to represent this guy, because...
It can go either way at this point. I've got no idea. I don't think we've seen someone so surrounded in controversy since probably Nixon.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, of course... there was the wonderful controversy of the Clinton administration, the non-controversy, as it were, of the H.W. Bush administration. Of course, all of his controversy having been quashed because, after all, if you spoke out against the president at that point in time, you were anti-American. So, this is always interesting when we get to take a couple of decades step back and look at it. Because it does change things a great deal. I mean, Nixon, for example, was one of those guys who was supposed to be, one of the most evil, guys to ever occupy the White House, blah, 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 at the time he was in office. But now, I mean, really, it's kiddie stuff compared to what's happened since, what happened before,
What he was doing is child's play.
Right. This is what I was thinking of saying. And there it goes.
Yeah. But yeah, of all that, I do think we'll see a resurgence in all these different fights. There could be a start of one, but I doubt it. I mean, right now there's a fight starting around the world, so I don't know where else you can have one. Unless you want to start one in South America.
Well, and isn't that the interesting thing, really? Because, the whole South American continent is not really a hot zone at the moment, right? We also had the, that whole Cuban thing, which I figured is a complete non-story anyway. But, did you have any views about that before we run out of time?
It's about time we're trying to make an ally in the world.
Well, look, the Cuban government is not going to be an ally to us right away. That's for sure. I mean, we have a long history.
I didn't say they would, but it's about time we're not threatening to bomb somebody. I think this is the first country we've talked to, besides Israel and Britain, in the past few years that we haven't threatened.
Yeah, and here's a real safe bet: Fukushima will keep blowing up, and and nuclear reactors will not be dismantled as they should be. But yeah, isn't that about the way it goes?
Yeah. So
one of the most ridiculous, horrendous threats to humanity, and we're still engaging in the use of this Wile E. Coyote style of boiling water regarding, splitting atoms, right? Gotta love that sensibility.
Hmm.
And, what do you think? Putin will still be a big player in 2015, or what?
They've built him up too much for him not to be at this point.
Yeah, I'm figuring that we're getting ready to see him out on the world stage a lot more in 2015. I don't know where else to go from here. I mean, what else could we talk about, regarding what's up and coming? I think a lot of it is a serious crapshoot because they did find that a lot of this stuff failed in 2014. They didn't sufficiently convince people that, that certain boogeymen and certain diseases were going to kill us all. They didn't sufficiently convince us that we needed to fight them over there before we have to fight them over here. They didn't sufficiently convince us of a lot of this nonsense, right? They did seem to sufficiently... Go ahead.
Can I actually pose you a question?
Please do.
Do you consider 2014 a victory for us or a defeat?
A draw as far as the alternative media goes, because again, I see a lot of garbage and a lot of new stuff emerging, so
I'm not talking about in the alternative stream. I'm talking about it as
the world in general.
Yeah. Do you consider how what we've? Because you said it yourself that they've realized a lot of this stuff doesn't work.
Well, yeah, but you know what? On the positive note here, let's say this: we're all still here for the most part.
Yeah.
The continental United States hasn't been splintered into 1,000 pieces. Most of the rest of the world is not entirely engulfed in radiation. Unlike part of Japan is. We are not actually in a world war officially. Yeah. So these are all good things. But outside of that, it's pretty much, I'll still call it a draw. It's just a continuation. Pretty much like the second Matrix movie, which I'm sorry, it's just the continuation of the story.
The second Matrix, not just a continuation of the story, it's a horrible movie.
Well, yeah. So let's put it this way: 2014, in my estimation, is
the Matrix 2 of this trilogy.
Is Revolutions in the Matrix trilogy? Yeah, that's where we're at.
So the third one's going to be worse.
It does move the story forward, but at least in the third one, you have some level of conclusion, closure, possible answers. I mean,
yeah, but everything about that movie, the conclusion wasn't satisfying.
Well, you know what? Sometimes reality isn't satisfying, and sometimes the Matrix is not satisfying. What can I say?
No, obviously not. But, so you see this coming year as that third Matrix movie?
At least this year would be the first hour of the third Matrix movie, I think, yeah.
Oh, great. Well, the first hour was the better half of that movie.
Yeah, well, look, after all, life is just a strange ride, and we're all here for a very short time, so to hell with it. It is what it is, and at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to control any of this, but anyhow, before we sign off, Dylan, thanks again for joining me in the middle of all sorts of technical issues that I still cannot decipher what happened here. But the
NSA's hitting you hard.
I would not blame the NSA because this was too sloppy for their work.
But for some reason, every time you have a technical issue, they allow me to come on.
Because you, sir, are not a threat yet.
Darn.
Everybody have a good night. See you on Saturday. Bye.
At the age of 19 in 1962, she was a...
See, but I have the files. You know, I read the stuff at the National Archives, and I read these other things. I said to myself, that guy, how can that be possible? The brain, you know, days and the fondle slab of choice. I don't know that doesn't really matter. Internet, professional wrestlers, and not Jesse Ventura style. It doesn't matter where the cartoon comes from as long as it's real. It doesn't. It's hard to get real information because seriously, they don't want you to have just reads to